Okay, finally.
I pre-ordered Guilty Gear Strive.
Really?
Comes out next week. Yeah,
All right.
comes out next week.
Yeah, I
Not next week, the week after.
I pre-ordered what was it called? King's Bounty 2. But I like King's Bounty. Anyway, let's have everyone introduce themselves. Start with the lady first. Go ahead.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages. This is J.R. Eli Nucar from you to the BS Busters End of the Week podcast. And today, Square Enix is losing somebody that should have made a better game, or they're supposed to be retired.
I just don't think he has it anymore. I don't think he has the chops for it. Um, Kenoshi?
That's Kenosha Bonito saying that people need to quit. People need to quit getting their feelings caught up in a franchise going to another platform.
Uh, Fair. That is fair. But so many people are like Drake with In His Feelings. Kiki, do you love me? They're in their feelings. They can't help it. Okay, folks. It's me, Mr. Red Fox. We're talking. We have quite a few news stories. Our primary topic are the best RPGs not made by the usual suspects and retro gaming woes in general. But we also have a lot of news stories for this week. We've got Yuji Naka's resignation. Now, you can't see me, but I'm using air quotes there because I think they saw the numbers of Balin's Wonderworld and they were like, you can either resign or we can fire your ass. And he said, fuck it, I'm done. And, we'll get into that later. The Sierra Online founders, the husband and wife team who created such wonderful games such as Space Quest, King's Quest, Police Quest.
So many point and click adventures, right?
I would say that they created the seed of the modern point and click game. Like if you didn't have the Space Quest, Police Quest, King's Quest from these people, Sierra Online, if you didn't have them creating those games, you wouldn't have the shit that came later on, like your Monkey Island and Myst, Riven, stuff like that. So, I mean, these people are pioneers in gaming. Without them, you would have had an entire genre of games would not have been what they are. No Telltale games. So Fear the Walking Dead and Fables and all those types of adventure games. None of that shit would exist without these people blazing that trail. So you know, um, I give props to those who have who trailblazed for other people. But it's been a while. They have not. The last time they retired from game development in the late '90s, so they have not made a game in over 20 plus years. So you know.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not expecting, the world to shift and the earth to change, but that's one of our news stories. We'll also discuss the 20th anniversary of Metroid Prime, people being mad about Sony's cross-gen games, and other news, which will include our main topics of uh, RPG games that aren't the usual, that don't great RPG games
From
that
the
don't come
usual.
from the usual suspects. Because when people think RPGs, they think okay,
Square
Obsidian,
Enix.
Square Enix, well, SquareSoft, Enix, Square Enix, um, Intelligent Systems to an extent, Monolith Soft. Namco Bandai with the Tales series, Atlas with the Shin Megami Tensei / Persona series. But, you know, there's more than that. I'm also going to use some Western companies, Obsidian. I want to say Bethesda to an extent, but not really. I mean, the thing is, Bethesda games are really ambitious, but they never really meet their ambitions, if you get what I'm saying. But anyway, plus we have to do our a-hole.
They fly too close to the sun.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that. I would say that, like any project, you can have the most ambitious project, but if you can't meet your goals,
deadlines,
what's the point? Well, I mean, you know, it's like this, okay? We've all had to write papers for school, right? And you could choose any subject you wanted to. It doesn't matter how interesting your subject is. If what you write for your project is filled with errors and you didn't really do the work to make things come together, even if your premise is really interesting, everything else kind of falls apart. And that's the problem with a lot of Bethesda games. It's like, man, an online Fallout game sounds interesting. Too bad it wasn't well executed. Yeah. So, you know, execution is everything in business. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Let's dive into it. So, I guess we can start with the news stories first, and then we'll do the interest stories at the end. So I guess we got to start with Yuji Naka. He had to leave.
Let me guess. He's being let go.
He had to leave. He ended his tenure as a senior manager at the company on April 30th, which was literally 2 months ago. Almost 2 months ago. Like a month ago. A little over a month ago. And he only made one game with him. He made
Batman Wonderland.
Balan Wonderland, which, I mean, kind of like the game looked like it was a spiritual successor to Nights into Dreams, but from what I've talked to people who've played the game, it essentially was kind of like a kid-friendly Super Mario Brothers, except you know how in Super Mario Brothers, like the ones that have power-ups, there's only like 3 or 4 really at any given time. In this game, there was like 20 costumes you could wear, and all of them had slightly different things going on. So it was just kind of a mess of design concepts. And
yeah, the worst of it is it tried to be one-button friendly.
Yeah, it was very casualized with a lot of overlap special abilities, and it wasn't just very well designed. Now, how much of this was his fault? But he was the senior manager over. He was the over guy over this game. So the buck ended with him, and he had to fall on his sword and take the hit. So, I mean, what can I say?
This is his second bum game, right? So you made that
third
bum game?
Yeah.
What was the there's that Skies of what?
He made Rodea the Sky Soldier.
What? Yeah.
And believe it or not, like the one that was on the 3DS apparently was a good game. The one that was on the Wii was also apparently a good game. The one that was on the Wii U was meh.
Yeah.
And he also made a what's the word I'm looking for? He made kind of like a spiritual successor to Nights into Dreams that was apparently kind of fun. But then it just kind of, you know, like
went off the rails.
Well, the thing about Yuji Naka is that and I know this is going to be kind of
controversial.
Yeah, controversial for people who are fans of Yuji Naka. I never thought that he was that good of a game designer. I know a lot of Sega fanboys like to say, well, he was up there with Shigeru Miyamoto, and I'm like, no,
Really?
no, no. I will. Here's what I'll say about Yuji Naka. His presentation is more impressive than Shigeru Miyamoto's. But
Yeah.
once you go deeper past the presentation, like Yuji Naka's games are like that kid in terms of presentation, are like when you were in school and there was that kid who would whenever they had a project to do that involved where you had to have the paper and the binder and all that stuff and everything, their shit always looked tight. You know what I mean?
They got
Yeah.
they got everything looking good.
You know, it's like if you were subbing that class or you were grading their paper, they would hand you the paper and it's like, wow, this shit looks really professional. It's well put together. The presentation is really impressive. And then you open it and you just realize, oh, it's just a standard paper, but the outside looks great. Where Shigeru Miyamoto's games, like over time, Miyamoto got better at making games. I think he kind of culminated with the 16-bit, 64-bit generation. But like if you play the first two Mario games for the NES, it's like those games aren't really like the presentation isn't great, but the core gameplay underneath is awesome. You know, like like Miyamoto designed games are like, okay, they just handed me a paper and it's stapled in the left corner, and you know it just kind of but then you open it's like, oh, they're saying some really cool shit in here. Okay, okay, so it's not as nice on the outside, but there's a solid foundation. The problem with Yuji Naka is that he has great presentation, but um, his foundation isn't that strong. If you get what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
At least that's my opinion. I could be wrong, but yeah, and I feel kind of bad because I really I don't want old school developers to get shafted. You know, like even someone like Keiji Inafune, I don't want to see just get you know I don't want to see old talent get thrown out the window just because they mess up a few times. Because I mean, you gotta fail in order to eventually succeed. Like, there's no one who's always going to be perfect all the time, if you get what I'm saying. Like,
I was gonna
everything they
say,
do is going to be great.
we're not gonna have Mary Sue's in the world.
Well, not just that, but typically speaking, when you see people who have never failed, like everything they do, they always do well on. When they finally do fail, they can't handle it. They're like, "Oh my god, this is terrible." It's like, no, life. Sometimes you win. Look, sometimes you get the bear. Sometimes the bear gets you. It's how you. It's that you don't give up. You get up, you brush yourself off, and you keep on rolling. So I really do want Yuji Naka to come out of the other side of this stronger and better. So I want him to be better. Um, but to each his own. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
What are your guys' thoughts before we move on to the next topic?
Well, I don't know. What other games besides Sonic and Knights is he famous for? Is that it?
I'm glad you asked. Yuji Naka he led development for Nights into Dreams, Burning Rangers, criminally underrated Sega Saturn game, and Phantasy Star Online, which, I mean, you could argue that Phantasy Star Online is the first successful console MMO.
which is impressive.
Yeah.
When
So
you
I
think about
mean,
it.
like I said, Naka is not like, I'm not saying that he's just a shitty, that he doesn't have some shit under his belt that gives him some credibility. I'm just
I was
saying,
gonna say, yeah, I was gonna say that if anything, he aged out of his job,
I think perhaps,
which is a lot better than getting fired.
I think they kind of gave him the wrong mandate for this game. Because from what I heard, Balin Underworld was supposed to be this game that was going to reach to kids. But the thing is like kids, like, okay, shit that we were impressed with when we were kids, like video games that we were like, oh, this is great when we were kids, like kids now would be unimpressed by. So maybe he should have gone for something that was a little bit more complex and not been so casualized and dumbed down. But, I don't know. But, good luck. I
Yeah,
hope he lands on his feet. Um, I mean, he does have some legit street cred. So it's not like, well, he's terrible. It's not like
yeah,
Tomonobu
yeah. That's
Itagaki.
what I was saying, that he aged out.
He's not like Tomonobu Itagaki, who really has no redeeming features as a developer, or in my opinion. Anyway, Ken and Roberta Williams, the people who created Sierra Online, the founders, are working on a single player project, The Secret, with 3D artist Marcus Maximus Mira. That is a cool fucking name. Triple M. So, for those of you who don't,
Cover.
yeah, for those of you who don't know who Ken and Roberta Williams are,
They're they're from Sierra.
yeah, they are the,
Those guys are able to give you point click adventures, if I got it right.
yeah, they are the founders of Sierra Online. Sierra Online are the people who created Space Quest, Police Quest, and Roberta herself created King's Quest. Those are the precursor adventure games that basically, without these people creating these adventure games, you wouldn't have had your Mysts, your Ribbons, your Curse of Monkey Islands, your Telltale games. They basically laid the foundation for an entire genre to be created. So, they're making their first new game for the first time in over 20 years, and
Decades.
well, over 20 years. So I don't know. I mean, I hope they make something good.
Well, if anything, let's just hope they haven't got too much rust on them. Otherwise, we could end up with something like, well, what we talked about earlier.
Well, they are, from what I can understand, they are making an adventure game. I just hope it's not uh, as ball bustingly hard as conventional Sierra games are, because conventional Sierra games are just really fucking hard. Like, they are like, like, oh, I went over here. Oh, I'm gonna die now. I picked this up. It killed me. Like, Sierra games were really hard back in the day. Like, you had to follow a distinct set of rules in order to um to do well in a Sierra game back in the day. So,
You didn't have any. You didn't have YouTube or anything like that to help you.
oh no. The best you had back in the day were BBS boards, where you would if you were lucky and your parents had a second phone line dedicated to to the computer, you could go on a BBS board and post, "Hey, I'm having difficulty in Police Quest in how to solve this case. Can I get some help?" But probably not, because sometimes people would fuck with you and put the wrong shit up there just to make you, just to mess with people. No, you had to hope that it would be in the help magazine. The gaming magazines.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
Yep, that was gaming back in the day, folks. It's a different world now. It's a different world.
Yesterdays.
I don't miss it. You know, people are like, oh, back in the day. There's some shit back in the day, it's great. And then there's some shit's like, I do not want to go back. I do not want to go back to that bullshit right there. You're stuck in a game? Well, good luck. Just keep on trying and trying and trying until you die a cajillion times.
Hope you have a good save point.
Hope you have a controller that's not gonna smash into a cajillion pieces after you slam it on the floor for the umpteenth time. Anyway, so yeah, they're getting back into making games. I hope their next game is pretty good. Anything else anyone else wants to say before we move on to the next topic? All right. Talked about Yuji Naka. We have some people who are kind of pissed off, angry, upset, because apparently they forgot to understand that Sony, like Nintendo and Microsoft, are companies that are trying to fucking make money.
Yeah, and the last thing you want to do is come between a business and their money.
So
they're gonna react if you do that.
So essentially, so it turns out that Sony is apparently going to they're essentially taking some of their games. They're making the next God of War game and Gran Turismo 7 available on PS4 as well as PS5. And basically, here's a quote from the head of PlayStation, from a PlayStation studio head, Herman Holst. He basically says that you can't build a community of over 110 million PS4 owners and then just walk away from it, right? I think that would be bad news for fans of PS4 and frankly not very good business. Where does it make sense to develop a title for both PS4 and PS5 for Horizon Forbidden West and the next God of War GT7? We'll continue looking at that. I mean, the man's not wrong. I mean, like, I don't know how many units of the PS5 have sold. I guarantee you it's not 110 units. So why would they throw away? Let's ignore those 110 million units. Let's ignore that potential massive customer pool for this customer pool over here. Which, let's keep it real. A lot of the people who are buying PS5s, just like a lot of people who bought PS4s, were filthy casuals. Okay? They were filthy, filthy casuals. You know, they bought maybe one or two games and then streamed a lot of shit. So, you know, I mean, like, I don't understand that. Like, I don't know why people don't understand that. I don't know what's so surprising. You know, so apparently some PS5 owners are getting mad. I bought a PS5 for exclusive experiences. You know you ain't getting no damn exclusive experiences for this shit. What's wrong with you?
Did I hear that right? Oh god, that was just so funny. Hearing the exclusive experience with PlayStation.
Well, I mean, there are some good exclusive games for the PlayStation, but the fact of the matter is that, like, no company that has over 100 million install base is gonna abandon that over 100 million install base for an install base that at this point isn't even over 10 million. Like, that's just stupid. And Sony is many things. Stupid, not one of them.
Hopefully, it's not one of them, because you have to be pretty. You have to have a lot of orbs in order to bet your next console on a smaller fan base than what you currently have with the old fan base.
I'm just saying, no one's gonna do that. No one is going to, piss off their other people for this shit over here. That's just stupid. It's dumb. But anyway, that's my opinion. Do you guys have any thoughts on it?
One of the mess this is gonna be. Get your popcorn
People,
ready.
people need to get over themselves, because, I mean, we are heading towards an era where pretty much everything is on everything now.
Well,
And honestly, I'll tell you. It's, I like the idea of Nintendo games only staying on the Nintendo platforms, but it might come day down the road. That's just not as much of a thing anymore.
well, here's what I'll say. I don't think Nintendo's going to go third party anytime soon, and I don't think they're going to put any of their, first party games.
Oh yeah, they make too much money off their exclusive titles right now.
For their exclusives, first and second party games, but like third party shit, yeah, that eventually that shit's gonna go someplace else. It's one of the reasons why I'm really hesitant to get, what's it called? It's one of the reasons I'm really hesitant to get, what's it called? Bravely Default 2.
Yeah. I don't know. I wasn't really thrilled about Bravely Default. What was that on 3DS?
The second, Bravely the second.
Bravely. Yeah, I wasn't really. I really didn't really get into that. It didn't grab me like the first one.
Well,
did,
my problem with Bravely Default is just it gets too grindy.
Yeah.
Like it just gets way too damn grindy. After a while, like, I mean, you're talking to someone like I grew up playing really grindy RPGs, so that isn't the issue. But when the entire point of a game is to grind, and when there's entire special abilities that there's no legitimate way you'd have access to that ability. Jewel, wake up. You're snoring.
I'm still here. Sorry if it sounded like that.
It's just, it's not good. It's not good. Well, you could have allergies, Joel, and that's not good. But anyway.
Oh, fun.
No, because I have allergies in my family, so like it used to be when I was younger, I just had allergies like with molds and funguses, so fall was a terrible time for me. But now I'm older. Apparently, whenever spring comes and the trees decide to get their swerve on, all that pollen and shit gets to me, and I'm just. If I go outside after a certain time of day, I'm done. Like I'm sneezing, I'm coughing, my eyes are watering. It's like I've been maced in my own neighborhood. But anyway, yeah, I agree. I think ultimately what's going to happen is that. I think you're going to see more. You're going to see more and more third-party games, third-party exclusives hit PC, because PC is the biggest market of them all, right?
Yeah.
Like a lot of people have PCs,
True.
so people want to make money. Shit, I mean, It just boils down to
end,
people want to make money. Shit.
lower end graphics cards are a lot more capable than they were 5 10.
I mean, not even that, but just, I mean, like, not even for really graphically intensive shit, just for small shit. I mean, if you're a developer and you can spend, $50,000 and have someone port your shit over to PC, why would you not? So you spend $50,000, even if you sell 500,000 units for $30 a pop, you will have already have paid for you would have already paid for that shit, it's already been paid for. So, why throw your money, like, if you're a business, it just makes sense to port things to other platforms if the port isn't ultra expensive. Now, keyword, if the port isn't ultra expensive. But that's my own personal opinion, and I'm not going to keep on harping on it. Anything else you guys want to say before we move on to the next topic?
I think we're set.
All right. Okay then. So with that being said, let's keep it moving. We've got some news, some breaking news, if you will. No More Heroes 1 and 2 are hitting PC next week. Thoughts? Yes, no, maybe so.
The more people who get to play it, the better.
True.
Yeah, I'm cool with that, because No More Heroes is one of those games that really is much better than it
should be.
Well, the first one is much better than it should be. The second one, not quite as good as the first one, in my opinion. I know some people are going to some people be like, what do you mean? In my opinion, the second one isn't quite as good as the first one. Like, the combat is better, but the actual, like, the overworld kind of sucks. So, there's a price you pay for going with other stuff. But, I mean, overall, it's still pretty good. So, your guys' thoughts on that?
Huh.
Aside from,
It's not bad seeing games going to the PC.
Mhm.
Just hope it's not like Warner Brothers in a way with
You
how
mean
they
a shit port?
do updates.
Yeah, I don't.
Yep.
I don't think there's going to be a shit port of No More Heroes. The only problem is that, especially No More Heroes 1 and 2, those games really need to be played with a Wiimote in order to really get the visceral feel of finishing off motherfuckers. And it just doesn't feel right with a controller in your hand. But I mean, if you can get past that, because I played No More Heroes 2 with the the Pro controller for the Wii, and with the Wiimote, and it felt so much better with the Wiimote than with the Pro controller. But that's just me. But it is what it is. What it is. So last week we talked about the Donkey Kong Country games, and we ranked the like the entire series that was handed over to Retro. And Nintendo trusted them with a lot of stuff. And why did Nintendo trust Retro with a lot of stuff? Well, because they released a little game 20 years ago, over 20 years ago, called Metroid Prime. A game that before they got it out was a dumpster fire.
Wow.
Yeah, I put the What Happened from Matt McMuscles, but
Yeah.
apparently it was a dumpster fire before Big Daddy Miyamoto and Kensuke Tanabe went over there and had to knock some heads. He's like, hey, you fuck it up. You fuck it up. I'm gonna have to get my belt. But apparently from all of that bullshit came a really good game called Metroid Prime. Metroid Prime is so influential to the Metroid series that other 2D games in the series fucked themselves over trying to how's the best way I could say this? Trying to appeal to that particular series.
Group.
Well, I mean, what really hurt Other M was that it was trying to be like Metroid Prime, but it couldn't really pull it off. What hurt, in my opinion, what kind of made the Metroid 2 remake kind of shit was that they tried to make it like a 2D Metroid Prime, which kind of just didn't really work for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I was like, I'm not feeling this.
And one more list to the stack of 7 deadly sin users.
You know, because, like I said, I know some people are going to get mad at me, but I like Metroid Prime. The 3D, immersive, you're in a world and you're exploring Metroids. But then I also like the 2D Metroid where you're just trying to, like, there's environmental puzzles and you're just trying to, get some shit taken care of. So, I don't know what the hell happened, but but this is the 21st anniversary of Metroid Prime, and well, I mean, come on, it's Metroid Prime. Perhaps, the game that basically brought a lot of those tropes, like the first Metroid Prime is literally just a 3D version of Super Metroid. For better or for worse, it is a 3D version of Metroid Prime. Sir, so what are your guys' thoughts on that? Or does anyone have any thoughts on it anyway?
Well, yeah, Metroid Prime is 25 years old.
It's 20. It came out in 2000. Metroid Prime. I think it came out in 2000. No, it came out in 2002. So it's almost 20 years old.
Okay.
It's 19. It's 19 years old. It'll be 20 years old next month. Next year.
Oh yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy.
Just so that we can all just figure out how old we are. Shit, when that game came out, I was 16 years old.
Yeah, I would have been 12 or 13 years old when it came out.
Old ass man now. and that, like, Metroid Prime is one of my favorite games. I know a lot of people, how could you like this game? I like Metroid Prime. I like the world. I like how you basically had to explore and scan shit. How you could get lost in the world and you really had to take the time to figure shit out and, use the tools you had available to figure shit out. The only downside about Metroid Prime is that once you figure out the puzzles, it gets a little too easy. That's the primary flaw with the franchise, is that once you figure shit out, it just gets...
Easier?
It just gets too easy. You're like, oh, well, I know what this is.
Huh. adventure adventure bar story for me kind of feels like that weird game that it is different and it's made by somebody that's not from the usual suspects and with the fact that you have to basically eat your exp, it kind of works out in a fun way,
All right.
though it does mean that you're kind of grinding for ingredients. Hey,
Well, I guess.
sometimes the grind works.
Well, I guess with that, I guess we can move on to the next topic, which is RPGs from odd sources. Um, I don't know how I can say this nicely, but
Hmm.
I well, this kind of goes in with the whole retro gaming thing because recently I went back to pick up my retro game to check out my retro games for the year. Every year I go in and I get all my retro games and I check to see if everything's still running, everything like that. And for this year, for some reason, I was able to get through a lot of. Well, actually, it makes perfect sense why I had the time because COVID-19 messed up my time. Well, it gave me a lot more time to do a lot of stuff because I can do a lot of stuff from home. So I was able to do it. But I was playing some of my RPG games that aren't from the usual suspects. Like I was playing such games as uh, Tales of Fantasia, um, Star Ocean, um, Cyber Knight 1 and 2. I am a huge fan of Cyber Knight, by the way. Love me some Cyber Knight. Love it. And there's some very these games do some things that you don't normally see games doing, and they aren't from hey this is from Square Enix, this is from SquareSoft, this is from so and so. I would say Tales of Fantasia personally is one of my favorite um, non-SquareSoft RPGs. It deserves to be up there with Final Fantasy VI and Chrono Trigger, but it didn't come to America. So if you really want to play this game, there's a Game Boy Advance port, but it's not quite as good as it's not quite as good as the game uh, on the SNES. So, for those of you who might want to play that game, I would say, get the Super Famicom version any way you can, and apply the fan patch to Tales of Fantasia, because it's a better game on. It's a better game if you play it like that. But that's my opinion. What do you guys think about it?
Sounds like something fun to me.
Yeah, I've mainly played RPGs by the usual suspects, or at least there's nothing that comes to mind.
I mean,
But
even more modern games that aren't the usual suspects, like your Tales of Symphonia, which
yeah,
I'm going to tell you right now, the best version of that game is on the GameCube. Do not play the PS3 or PC version of it unless you can get a patch for the PC version that gets it to run at 60 frames per second.
yeah.
Um, Also, I mean, there's also such games for the GameCube like Bait and Katos, which I love that game. And Skies of Arcadia, which is, I would say that of the sixth gen RPGs, Skies of Arcadia should be up there with your Final Fantasy X, um, and your Final Fantasy XIIs. But it's not included with that group because you know the bigger games kind of overshadow everything else. Which is not cool. It's not cool when the big games overshadow everybody else's shit.
Yeah.
Because there's some really good games. There's some really good games that came out on other consoles that just never got their shot. And we played them. I've played them at least. I've played games that I'm like, yeah, this is much better than it has any business being. But that's my opinion. Anything else you guys want to go over before we move on to the final little bit of to the final topics?
I think we got things covered.
All right. So finally, since no one really had anything they wanted to add of unconventional RPGs, our final topic is our a-hole of the week. Who wants to nominate an a-hole of the week? Someone in gaming that's done something despicable and needs to be brought to people's attention, and or just doing some stuff that's just shady as hell.
I'm gonna bring up something that probably hasn't been on your radar. People that try to invest in Earth 2, or the makers of it.
I don't know what Earth 2 is.
Earth 2 is supposed to be some kind of MMORPG that is supposed to give you real plots of land on a simulated Earth for real money, but you have to use cryptocurrency to get in and try to buy and sell using the system's own marketplace using non-fungible tokens. You can guess where that could go.
Well, the whole thing sounds like a scam. I mean, it sounds like a scam.
Yeah, because if anything, it's just basically a map of the planet with little squares made from that just to say, ooh, you own this location, and trying to use cryptocurrency to try to make virtual dollars out of something that hasn't been developed yet.
Well, I mean, I don't have anything. I mean, I know this is going to sound kind of bad. I don't have anything against people. I don't have anything against people taking their money. An MMO taking money for people to get little bennies before the game starts, but because there's MMOs that have done that before.
Have you heard of Star Citizen, my friend?
Yeah, but there are MMOs that have done that before, where especially like the second tier MMOs, where you can literally go in and like buy shit early on and stuff, and like put money down in order to get like a little boost in game when you start. Like in the most innocuous ways, they've done it. They've done it with like pre-orders, because it happened to me when I pre-ordered the Old Republic, Where even now, whenever I log into the Old Republic and create a new character, because I pre-ordered the game and I was there at the start, I've got all these little cosmetics and like little bennies that let people know, yeah, you were a founder. Um, so I mean, I don't have anything necessarily against that, but as soon as someone tells me that you have to use cryptocurrency, I'm like, this is some scam shit going on.
Yeah, and as I said, this is Earth 2 is feeling like what Star Citizen is on a much darker level.
Yeah, because at least Star Citizen, you can use real money. You can use real credit cards and stuff. And if you don't like what you got, you can cancel your purchase. Like if you buy something from cryptocurrency, you're pretty much SOL if you don't like it. Like that, once the transaction goes through, you're SOL and JWF. So
Yeah, and I see both of these not having a release date, which is really low.
well, I think at some point Star Citizen's going to come out, probably in the next 4 or 5 years. Earth 2, I think those people are being scammed. I don't think there's ever going to be a. I think they're going to take that money and run away with it. That's what I think. I could be wrong. I would love to be wrong because I don't want people losing their. I don't want people not getting, because
Yeah,
people are putting their money in there. I want people to be recompensed for what they put money down for, but
yeah, yeah. This is worse than the loot boxes at this point. I mean,
well,
come on.
with loot boxes, they have to put a thing. It's like there's a chance that you could win, X, Y, or Z, or get these many of these or whatever. But with Earth 2, you're spending money on something that there's no guarantee you're going to get anything out of it.
It's like trying to trying to play the market of land ownership.
Yeah, but if you physically buy land, you can always sell it and do something with it. You can take a loan out on it. This is something that has no value aside from what is ascribed to it by an unscrupulous third party. But anyway, that's just my opinion. Yeah, that's definitely a nominee. The Earth 2 developers marketing team. Kadoshi, do you have a nominee?
Not this week. I haven't seen any weird things happen this week.
Well, I'm nominating Ubisoft yet again. I didn't want to talk about Ubisoft because I don't like talking about Ubisoft, but I had to bring this up because I went on a website, PC Gamer, because I am a big PC gamer, and I was basically saying how this seems this seems very shady that like Ubisoft hasn't really done anything to really address the issues that are going on. You know, with HR, and some dude who claims he works at Ubisoft is like defending this, and I'm like, yeah, but this stuff's been going on for at this point 10-15 years, because the types of things that these people were doing, you don't just come into work one day and just start doing that. This is stuff that's been going on for years, and there's no way someone could be CEO of a company and not know that these people were doing this, or even heard rumors that these people were doing this. So this was a failure. This was a systemic failure on multiple levels, because HR failed. Because typically, right now I'm a small business owner, but I remember when I worked for corporation, where if someone did some shady shit, their ass would have been out that same day. If they did it in the morning, their ass would be out by that afternoon. Okay, like I'm gonna tell you how quickly your ass can be gone. I did 2 years in AmeriCorps called City Year, the AmeriCorps program called City Year, which is a service learning organization that goes into cities and helps underserved, underprivileged children balance out how their learning possibilities and stuff like that. But anyway, so there was this kid who my first year I hung out with. We were friends. We would have interesting conversations about life. Well, he was asleep in one of the classes he was supposed to be helping out in. He was asleep and sucking his thumb, passed out instead of helping the teachers. The teachers took pictures, video of him doing that shit. By the end of the day, his ass was gone. Gone.
Dang.
The same day, gone. Okay, they had kicked him out.
I'm not sure if that was a gentle push out or throw out.
No, it's because basically you are a representation of whom you're working for. So, and this was like literally, this was just one dude. He was sleeping. They got him the fuck out of there. Okay, so like my point behind all this is to say this. If they're like that for a service learning program that's just there to help kids, just to help kids, do stuff, imagine what they would do in an organization where you're making video games. Where, and that's basically what happened. There is no way on God's green earth that no one at Ubisoft knew that these people were doing this shit and no one said anything. So the fact that Yves Guillemot is like, yeah, I didn't know, and how did we? It's like it doesn't make sense. It makes no sense. It's unrealistic. So the people who are defending this and trying to pretend like, oh, it wasn't that bad. Come on, man. Come on.
This is the third week that we have Ubisoft.
I got to put them on there. Listen, I didn't want to talk about it.
How can they keep on doing this?
Because it got worse. It's think of it like this, okay? Like let's use another example of a company of a business covering up some shady dealings, okay? Let's use Jerry Sandusky and Penn State, okay? There is no way on God's green earth, because any school, there's going to be a gossip train. Like, everybody knows who's going with who. Everybody knows who's doing shady shit. It's an open secret. People know about this shit, okay? People know who's embezzling. People know who's taking shit on the side. People know who's going with so-and-so's husband and wife. Like, it's open. People know about this shit. So there's no way on God's green earth that we didn't know that Uncle Jerry was molesting kids. And it turns out people knew he was molesting kids. As a matter of fact, there was a year when Joe Paterno initially retired, and they were going to make Jerry Sandusky the new head coach. They literally turned around and got the next year and brought back Joe Paterno. Not because they needed Joe Paterno. They brought him back to cover up the fact, to cover up the fact of all the fucked up shit Jerry Sandusky was doing.
Yeah, Penn State is absolutely embarrassing. Like, I'm surprised.
Okay.
I don't know why anybody would go to that school.
I'm surprised more people didn't go to jail.
Yeah, that too.
More people.
Like, how many people are still working at Penn State that knew about it? Because think about it, right? If you witness a murder, and you say nothing, then you'd be considered an accomplice.
That is true.
Right? If you didn't say anything, or you just stood back and watched as somebody was getting murdered, you would be considered an accomplice. So why the heck aren't the staff that was there that knew, the administration, why weren't they fired? Why didn't they go to jail?
Look, man, I agree with you. I feel the same way about the Catholic Church with the pedophile priests. Except with the pedophile priests, this shit's been going on for hundreds of years. You know, like you don't just wake up and roll over one day and say, "Yeah, I think I'm going to molest children." That's some shit that's been going on for a while. You don't just roll over. You don't just get promoted to head of the department and say, "You know what? I'm going to treat my female employees like they're slabs of meat with a hole in it." Like that shit just doesn't just happen. But the fact that there are people defending this, you know, like, you know, everyone, it's kind of like I was watching All Star Superman, and All Star Superman. If you guys ever get a chance, if you have HBO Max, I think it's on there. But All Star Superman is the animated movie where Superman finally breaks Lex Luthor by basically he shoots Lex Luthor with this gun that gives him the physiology of a Kryptonian for like 24 hours. And
Yeah.
Lex Luthor basically sees what Superman sees. And Superman eventually takes it away from him. He shoots him and it accelerates the timeline for when it's going to run out. And Lex Luthor's like, "No, you can't do that. If only I had the time." He's like, "You had the time years ago to do this. You just couldn't fucking be bothered because you were so busy trying to kill me." And Lex Luthor's like, "Well, actually, he's right." It's like, if they were serious, about dealing with this shit wouldn't have ever gotten to the point where it was. They would have nipped this in the bud when these people were first reported for this shit. But no, the people who were doing this were making the company millions of dollars and lining everyone's pockets. So, you know, the shit was about money. All right? That's what it was about. And, you know, so once again, I'm putting Ubisoft as my asshole of the week. Had to do it. Had to do it.
I don't blame you for it, Red. So you can take it easy off that. It's just that I'm surprised that they did it again.
I mean, look, I didn't want to talk about E3 again. Not E3. I didn't want to talk about Ubisoft again. I didn't. I don't like talking about Ubisoft. To be honest with you, really don't like Ubisoft. I don't like their games. I think their games are kind of boring.
Flavorless.
Well, they're boring. They're very samey and boring. To me. I know there are people who really like I know there are people who really like E3. I'm not one of those people. I mean, they really like Ubisoft's games. I'm not one of those people. I don't like Ubisoft. Their games are boring to me. Like, through the magic of Epic Games, I've gotten Ubisoft games for free. I've even gotten free Ubisoft games through Ubisoft's little membership thing for being part of their Ubi Connect, whatever it's called. And I just don't like their games. Their games are just boring to me.
Yeah, it's samey.
It's
A
like
lot of samey here.
And everything, like, even the games that don't have a lot of RPG mechanics are really grindy and just not fun. You know, I don't know how you could make an entire game where nothing is fun. But that's just my opinion. So with that being said,
you have to give them credit for finding a way to make something fun boring.
Well, I mean, not every video game is going to be fun because there's, everyone's going to have their own opinion.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, find a fun concept and make it boring.
Oh yeah. The idea of Far Cry should be fun, not fun under Ubisoft. The idea of Assassin's Creed, the idea of Assassin's Creed Origins or Assassin's Creed Odyssey. That idea, it's an open world Assassin's Creed, but they're boring. Assassin's Creed is boring. It's just a boring game. The movement is unnatural. It's just not fun. I know people are going to get mad about that. What do you mean? It's not fun.
So, we got our a-holes of the week, I think.
We got to vote on it. The Earth 2...
Much as I want
or
I
Ubisoft?
said, as much as I would want to put somebody different, Ubisoft, you have somehow made it even worse to look at. You make you make scamming like like what they do in Earth 2 look like a church.
Yeah, yeah. I gotta go with Ubisoft, even though I put them up there just because. I mean, you gotta have some nerves of steel to have people um,
Defending you?
have your employees defending your bullshit, because that's what it is. Defending your shady ass bullshit. Well, they're doing something now. You know what that's like? That's like beating the shit out of your kids for 15 years, and now that they're in jail and like violent themselves, now after beating their ass for 15 years, now you're like, well, I want to be a better parent. It's too late now. Shit, they grown.
You're late to the you're late to the show, buddy.
You're a little late to the party. Shit, they needed you 15 years ago. Shit. So yeah, Kenoshi, you have a vote for a-hole of the week. Are you going Ubisoft or Earth 2?
Ubisoft.
All right. Once again, Ubisoft, assholes of the week. I mean,
And if anything, I have to use a meme again. Oh baby, a triple. Oh god.
yeah, they got a triple. They got a triple. I really did not want to go with Ubisoft yet again. I didn't. I don't like talking about Ubisoft. I don't like, but they brought this on themselves.
Yeah.
Because like when you get caught doing wrong, you own up to it and you say, okay, here are the steps I'm making to do better. What you don't do is fucking defend. Yeah, I was fucking around on my wife and brought home a STD and gave it to her. Yeah, I did it. Yeah, my wife was pregnant when I did all that. But she wasn't having sex with me. It's like, dude, why are you defending this? So yeah, Ubisoft, you are the a-hole of the week because you're defending the indefensible. And with that, that's the end of this podcast. We ended a little bit early, but sometimes they end quick, sometimes they go a little bit longer. That being said, that's the end of the podcast. Rate, comment, share, subscribe. Anything you guys want to pimp out before we wrap things up?
Not that I know of, but I would like to say that we are doing our E3 predictions soon enough.
All right. Well, that's going to be next week. Next week, the 9th, we'll do our E3 predictions. On the 12th, we'll talk about how we feel about the beginning of E3 and et cetera, et cetera. So with that being said, that's in the podcast. Rate, comment, share, subscribe, and...
Hi. Responsibly.